If you guys want to, oh, nice. Look at that. If you guys want to drop in the caption kind of your topic of something that you would like to hear, maybe next week while we wait another minute or two for the rest of the people to kind of join in. If you guys want to kind of just throw in the caption like a topic you're interested in, or something that you would see value in, or just anything like that, you guys can do that right now. Um, it's just in the chat, and then as we're waiting for people to join in. So, what did you do today, Gemma?
I started my morning by resting extra. I was supposed to be out of the house by 5 a.m. and
Wow.
I ended up staying up way too late and I decided to sleep a little bit extra and then went
Yeah.
out and planned a party with my friend, her in town, worked for a little bit, and then I went to the gym. I had an incredible workout and I got home 10 minutes ago, right in
Oh,
time.
that's so funny.
I literally whipped out my laptop on the road. I'm like figuring some things out. I'm like, this is a new level. I've never done this before.
I love it.
It
I
was
love
awesome.
it. Dedication.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Okay, we got no comments. We got no comments in the chat for future. So you guys don't want to hear anything ever again. I'm just kidding.
I'm
John,
thinking hard. I'm
somebody will
thinking
be
about a good topic that I would be interested in learning more about.
Later, yeah, later in the during the call, just throw it in whenever because we want to hear y'all's input
You know
and kind
what's
of hear.
interesting? You know what's interesting? The topic for today, which is getting back in touch with nature, was given to us by my friend Flavel, and he can't come today. So I'm really sad, but I am also recording this call so he can listen in and take the nuggets from it because he wanted to know. He's like, why do we need to be like grounding? Why do we need to be in nature? He wanted to know the juice of it, and so I know that Michael and I can deliver on that today. Uh,
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll get
no problem.
started then. We went over time last week, so we'll keep it in check today. But thank you all for joining us, and it's been cool. This is our third call, I believe, to the third. I think it's third or fourth. Yeah. So if you're new here or if you've never been, this is a community of young, like-minded people who are intentional about their health, and so it's really cool. 18 to 27 years old people get on every week, every Monday, and we talk about anything in regards to holistic health and wellness. We talk about nature. We have a lot of athletes in here. We have people that are using essential oils, all types of holistic people. I mean, we have a wide spectrum, and so yeah, if you're here, thanks for giving us 30 minutes of your time, and hopefully you can leave today. The goal would be to have you leave with some value, and we hope to deliver. So thank y'all for showing up. And then the topic today is getting back in touch with nature, if you didn't already read the title. And so we're going to be talking all things of nature and earth and kind of just the craziness of where we've gone as, just as people, and as time has evolved, how things have changed and how we've kind of lost touch and how to get back in touch to something that we crave and desire so deeply. So, anywho, Gemma, you can kind of start us off on kind of why nature is so vital, and we'll kind of jump right in.
Nature is vital for us humans because it regulates so many systems in the body. Our heartbeat, our nervous system, our lymphatic system, um, because it's where we were born. This is literally what the source of being a human is being in nature. So when we become connected with that, our entire body harmonizes. It is able to extract the nutrients from its surroundings. It's able to calm and regulate its own system because we know how to respond to safety and threat in that environment. Our senses become more attuned. I want to go back to the fact that our heartbeat regulates when we're in nature, when we're walking barefoot, when we're taking deep breaths, when we meditate in nature, when we listen to the sounds, when we move in nature, when we dance. Like anything that you engage in within nature is going to play a role in regulating your body head to toe. And I've found personally how many times that when I take time to go in nature, I find clarity that I wouldn't otherwise have access to. And you can't really compare, you can't really
Mhm.
analyze or create a study on that. But the beauty of it is that I know I can always go to it to find clarity um, in any area of my life, and it brings information to me. So I love it for that purpose. But I know that also there's a certain impact being in nature around fruits, around plants, around trees, around animals. The chemical releases that nature creates and gives out to us is going to have an effect on the chemical reactions in our body, which is why I love essential oils, which is why I love to apply them on my body, take them internally, to breathe them in. The reason they work is because it's the essence of nature that is brought to us literally in a bottle, and we can inhale it through any form, absorb it through any form. And the reason it works is because it breaks the blood-brain barrier and creates a symphony within the body that you can only replicate in nature. And so it's just one of the most beautiful things that I think connects many of us here on this call is that we love the essential oils, we love the therapy aspects. That's the way many of us have found healing and restoration in our body. But the core of it is practicing actual activities of bringing your human body into an environment of nature. So that's the why. That's the why that drives me to want to learn more about why I should be more in nature regularly as a practice, as a meditation, as a routine. So, Mike,
Mm,
take us away on more information on what we should
I
be.
will. That's really good. Thank you. That was really good. Also, before I jump right in, I want to say if we have time today, I started a timer. Hopefully, I follow it. If we have time today, I want to tell a quick story at the end about my personal experience with nature and grounding and all of these things we're talking about in nature. Like literally, I was talking to Gemma about it last week or a couple days ago, and I think Jorge, if you're on the call, I think we DM'd a little bit about it. I'm pretty positive that's you. So either way, I want to share a little story with you guys about my personal experience. So just remind me if I forget. Um, so jumping right into it um, on why nature is so vital for us, you kind of got to think about it back to the beginning. So we're all like made of energy. You hear people talk about like there's like an ongoing joke. People are talking about like aura and all that stuff on Instagram these days and cracking jokes. But in a sense, it's like it is a real thing. If you walk into a room and you see someone, there's always that one person, or maybe a couple people. Hopefully, you're surrounded by lots of people like this in your life. But when you walk in that room and you say hi to this person, you meet this person, you're just overjoyed and filled with joy and just you feel so good. Every time you leave, you're like, oh, such a good like soul, such a good person. That's because that person has great energy or whatever you want to call it. You can call it aura, you can call it whatever you want, but that person has something about them that is uplifting and you walk in the room and it's contagious. And that goes the same way negatively, right? I know many of you guys know people that are negative, right? I know lots of people that I've had to set boundaries up with in my life that are negative where I walk in the room and it's like something about them is so negative and down and they're always complaining and I've had to remove myself from those situations because it's contagious. It really is. I truly believe it. Bringing that to nature, it kind of goes to the same thing. Everything is contagious energy around us. I don't think it's like some weird like voodoo thing. I think it's real. And when you're out in nature, you can really feel it. So we'll kind of another night. I want to go really deep into some topics, but we'll kind of go basically tonight over three things: circadian rhythm, and if you don't know what that is, we'll explain it. Sunlight exposure, and then grounding or earthing. And so those are kind of the main key things in nature I'm going to hit real quick. And then another point before I get into that is that we all kind of just like rely on nature. Imagine if we didn't have nature right now. I mean, we literally wouldn't be able to survive. Think about where food comes from. All our food is grown, and what do the meat we eat, chicken or steak? Where does that come from? Well, they eat food. They eat grass. Depending on what type of food you're eating. They're eating what's in nature, and then we get to eat the steak or the chicken. And as for vegetables and fruit, as you all know, that comes from the ground. Like nature is so important. Even the air we breathe in, the oxygen comes from the trees. It comes from all around. Um, I think it's just so interesting that we've lost touch when everything we rely on is nature. I mean, water, it all is nature. And so why have we as a society or whatever we want to call it, lost touch with it? It's really crazy to think about because it's just so interesting how far we've came from it. We used to be back in, well, walking around barefoot and, you know, going and hunting and gathering. And now we're in cities and we walk with shoes on and we, sleep in beds that aren't grounded. And, there's all these things that are just so crazy that we don't do. But we've came so far, and I think we've came far in really good ways too, but we've also lost touch in other ways. And so jumping right into sunlight, sunlight is very important. I think we all know that. And if you don't, you should definitely get more sun. And you'll notice the cool thing, and I'll say it again, but circadian rhythm, sunlight, and earthing and grounding, they all, it's like a circle. They all help each other and they all benefit each other. So the more sun you get, it just helps with all of that cycle. The more sun you get, it helps with your circadian rhythm, and your circadian rhythm is like your internal clock. So that's like ticking. So that's like at nighttime when you go to bed and you see people taking melatonin or, they can't sleep at night, it's normally because they have jacked up circadian rhythms. And that come from a lot of different things that I'll jump into in a moment. But point being, sunlight, circadian rhythm, and grounding, they all go hand in hand. Like it's all nature, which is so interesting. But sunlight, going to that, it's really good. Vitamin D, it's good for bone health. If you're able to get sun every morning when you first wake up, that's so good for your circadian rhythm. And your circadian rhythm affects pretty much everything, in my opinion. I think energy-wise, sleep-wise, all of that, the ability to go to sleep at night with a good circadian rhythm in place, with the proper circadian rhythm in place, your body's able to produce melatonin at the end of the day, which in return lowers cortisol. If y'all don't know what cortisol is, that is kind of related to stress. People talk about it in that regard most of the time. And so when you wake up in the morning and you go out to sunshine and you see the sun, your cortisol levels are higher, right? That's the way our bodies are made. We have high cortisol in the day. We're alert, we're aware. And then at nighttime, that cortisol or that stress, whatever you want to kind of call it or relate it to, goes down. And so when you see people on their phones at nighttime and they're texting late and they have the blue light in their face and they can't go to bed, it's because they're jacking up their circadian rhythms, because they see that bright light and your mind gets confused and it messes up your rhythm, your internal clock, if you will, that's always ticking. And it thinks, it might be 11, 12 at night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and you're on your phone scrolling through TikTok or whatever. And that'll totally jack up your circadian rhythm, which will in return reduce energy. There's a lot of negative side effects involved with that. And so point being, if you wake up every morning and you can get into the ground, which we'll talk about more in a second, barefoot on the ground, and even just, in the sun for 15 minutes when you first wake up, it'll totally set the tone for the day. And even if there's not sun out that day, depending on where you live, it's still good to get outside and kind of touch ground and just, most days there should be sun, and just kind of sit out in the sun and soak it in and just kind of breathe and kind of maybe even set your intention for the day of like, what am I trying to accomplish? But main thing that sun helps is vitamin D, bone health. It helps with sleep. Like we talked about, your circadian rhythm, your cortisol is going to be higher in the morning. So it's going to give you that energy through the day, which will in return help you sleep better. So that's why sun is so important. Sun is also known to help with stress. Like I said, energy, also known to help with inflammation. And so as I'm learning more about all these topics, we'll kind of dive in later weeks, but it's crazy how they all go hand in hand. And so moving on from sunlight, if you can do that every day, that's huge. Think about every time you're at the beach. It feels so good. The sun on your skin, it's so good for you to do. And so I'm sure we can all remember memories of just feeling so good being barefoot on the beach or barefoot somewhere in the sun. It just feels amazing. that's natural. Like we're supposed to feel that. It's not like a weird thing to want to walk around barefoot and be in the sun. That's like very normal. And we almost like crave it. So moving on to circadian rhythm, we talked a good chunk about this already, but that is your internal clock, right? And we've already discussed most of this, but essentially, with the right circadian rhythm in place where you're watching the sunrise or at least getting sunlight when you first wake up, and then hopefully if you can every day watching the sunset, so good for your circadian rhythm, which will help your sleep and your energy.
I want to say something about that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The colors of the sun when the sun enters our perceptive field is like red, pink, orange. Those colors is what triggers an awakening in our mind that it's daytime. When we witness the sun going down and those colors leave our visual sight and they're not electrifying our mind anymore to say that it's daytime, that's the moment when we witness that. That's the moment that our body starts to wind down. That's when our body starts to take the magnesium we've absorbed through the day to produce melatonin to wind down at night. And it's usually like that 7:30 to 8:30 window that we begin to produce that, where we begin to be tired. Melatonin production does increase in that window after we've witnessed the sun setting. And so it is the use of a cell phone that would disrupt that, needing you to supplement with magnesium to create more of it. But there's a beautiful way that nature is created to literally turn on the lights and turn off the lights. And by us witnessing the sunrise and then it's the entrance of the colors and the exit of the colors that our eyes recognize, and the external part of our brain, which is our eyeballs, they recognize the lights are turning off. I think that is just so beautiful. Okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy how nature is so like it's all set in stone for us, but we like neglect it. But it's crazy. It really is. It's all like if we just like followed what it's saying to us in our bodies, I think we'd be much better off. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable, you know?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And the fact that you only get every sunset, I will take a moment, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, how busy I am, every sunrise and every sunset I get to witness, you only get it once. For the rest of your life, today's sunset is the only one that you'll ever be able to witness. And that's the biggest gift we can receive from nature. And if we could just pause and like absorb it, like all of the rest will fall into place. Continue.
I love it. No, you're right. You're spot on. So that's kind of interesting, I thought. And then kind of the last piece, grounding. And I dug a little bit deeper in this today, and I want to dive more deep into my research later on. But I've been grounding for a little bit, and I don't have a full, huge background with it. But what I can tell you, when I do it, I feel good. And as I learn more about it, I kind of want to get more into maybe even in the future. Or hold on, I should probably go back and explain what grounding is if you don't know that. So grounding is essentially placing your feet on the ground, barefoot, skin to earth, and electrons from the earth. How I understand it is electrons from the earth come up into your body and essentially like recharge you in a way. Is from kind of what I was learning. They kind of just come up and it comes into your body because of the earth. Is a ball of energy. So what we were talking about earlier about how when you walk into a room and people are contagious with their energy and their attitudes, everything around us has energy. So why would the earth not? And it's full of energy. And there's a video movie on grounding that I'll have to throw it in the chat before the end of this call, or we can say it, but I think it's just called like the Earthing movie on YouTube. It's like an hour so long. The Earthing movie, but I would highly recommend y'all write it down and watch it. It is so good and just so eye-opening. But that's what earthing is, right? It's when you place your feet on the ground and you're barefoot and you're walking, and it's also known as earthing or grounding. And so it's the practice of connecting the soles of your bare feet directly to the soil, sand, grass, whatever you want to call it. And so this is a transport of an abundant electrons from the earth into the body. So it's really interesting that the energy can come up, and earthing or grounding is known to improve the mood, anxiety, depression, libido, stress, sleep, immune function, blood flow. It's got all different types of benefits, and those are just a couple. I mean, if y'all really dive into research here, you'll learn so much more. But it's really just an abundance of like energy that you're getting from the earth. And it sounds so simple and not believable, but if y'all go out and just try it, it will. I think it totally changes my day. I grounded a good chunk of today, and it was just so enjoyable. I mean, it just feels so good, and knowing kind of the benefits you're getting is huge. There's in that earthing movie, if y'all watch it, it talks a lot about how earthing reduces inflammation, and how there's lots of testimonies and stories of people just going out and putting their feet on the ground, and the swelling starts to go away and their mood feels better. And like crazy stories, like stories that aren't believable. People that are like, I'm no longer depressed. I'm no longer moody. Like I love life now. Like I look forward to tomorrow. And it's like, okay, that's a little bit, you know, but then you do it yourself and it's like, wow, I feel really good right now. And I know that like this is good for my body. This is good for my circadian rhythm. This is good for my sleep. This is good for energy. And you're helping your body and you're giving your body a chance to recover in a sense. And so I'm going to do some more research later on and kind of get a little more in depth, but I've really been contemplating the idea of getting one of those. They make these sleeping mats, or these earthing mats, they call them. And essentially you can plug it into the ground or to an outlet, and you can lay it on your bed and you sleep on it, and you're earthed or grounded all night. And it's known to help with sleep and all different types of issues. But inflammation and blood flow being a huge one. Stress. I mean, seriously, is it that simple to just get out and to kind of heal things in your body just by walking on the ground? And so that was really interesting. And Gemma, if you have any notes you want to touch on that.
I have just one testimonial about grounding. One of our neighbors, he's like 87 years old. He's for the past, I don't know, 20 years has lived indoors with shoes on. And so we came into their life in the past year since we moved here to Texas and began helping them with their health. And he's had this like neuropathy in his feet where he'll have numbness, extreme pain, all these things. And you're like, okay, let's use essential oils, let's use a foot soak, let's blah, blah, blah. So some things helped, some things improved. But there was a point where he's like, still, it's like, it's still there. So we're like, let's just have you get outside. Let's have you go outside, put your feet on the grass. And he goes 10 minutes. And he was like, this is the first 10 minutes in the morning, puts his feet on the grass. First time ever in like who knows how long. He's like, it's the first time I've had all the pain relief from my feet. But he was just not used to being outside so much. So he went back inside. Did 10 minutes morning, 10 minutes evening for a couple of weeks. And he's like, this feels so good. I'm going to do a little bit more, 20 minutes, then 30 minutes. Right now, he's up to an hour, morning and evening. And it's the only time in the day that he has complete relief. That relief does carry over into the daytime, but he puts his shoes back on, he's back inside. So it dysregulates us, right? And that's like the most hyper example. This is a highly toxic system that we're putting into nature that's being regulated by nature over 1 hour. And literally he came over to our house the other day and his wife was here and his wife is a talker. So she's like talking. He's like, Cheryl, I want to go home to get in my backyard. Like the day is gonna go. It's gonna be nighttime and I'm not gonna get my backyard. Like he's so adamant about his little grounding routine because it's also connected to pain relief in a way that no medication for the past 20 years has been able to give him. So
That's so good. That's crazy.
Sure.
I'll give a little bit on that since we're gonna come up on time soon, but it really seems so simple, but it makes sense when you think about it because we're all electric beings. It's really cool because it's known to heal wounds, stuff like that, headaches, fatigue, tiredness. That was a huge one I didn't speak on is fatigue and tiredness. Grounding is huge for fatigue and tiredness and energy, kind of like what we talked about. But I'll give a quick little story here, and then we can kind of I'll let Gemma hit the floor here with some ways essential oils can be used um, for nature and with nature and from nature. But the other day, I was out, and I told Gemma a little bit about this. I don't drink that much, but I drank a little bit last weekend. It's very rare that I do, but yeah, very seldom that happens. But I drank and I went a little overboard. And the next morning, I had a hangover, and it's the first time in a really long time. And so I was like, okay, well, what do I know? I know my body is completely dehydrated, right? It's been starved of what it needs most, and that's proper hydration. So I got myself some doTERRA electrolytes and I got myself some salt and I mixed it up and I started chugging it. I went outside barefoot and I laid on the ground and I let the sun soak in. I jumped in the water. There's a beautiful pond out back. I jumped in the pond. I laid out. I soaked in the sun. And I just shut my eyes and I lay down, grounded, got sun, and it was a really bad headache. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I I like an hour and a half later, and I get up and I feel a little tired, but I feel like really good. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And it's like I knew all these things, but I hadn't like put them all together when I was feeling bad. It's rare that I'll feel kind of sick or gross. I feel like I don't get sick that much or feel bad, I guess, that much. And so this was an opportunity for me to kind of try what I've been learning. And so it was crazy that literally just being in sun and grounding like relieved my headache. I felt hydrated because I was drinking that salt water and the electrolytes and in nature and breathing in that good air. And all of a sudden, headache's gone, and I feel great. Like I honestly felt great. I felt a little tired. All it felt like was I just woke up from a nap. When you feel kind of tired, and that's all it felt like. Which I didn't mind the feeling after having a really bad headache. And so that was just a little story I thought I'd share. Just so interesting. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I love that. And it's the beautiful thing that I see when we talk about human going into nature and grounding. So human is full of water. We're full of electric life force energy. That's literally it's how we're wired as a human being. The creator that designed us wired us this way. 70% water, 80% water. So we're mostly liquid. That means that we need a grounding force to neutralize the positive energy all in us. And so the ground is negative force. So when we go stand on the ground, it neutralizes us in a way that literally no other remedy can do. Like I'm going to talk about like the way I use essential oils to put on my body. So like it feels great, improves lymphatic system. It does regulate your heartbeat. It does all these things, but it takes so much more work than just going outside and standing out there barefoot.
Yeah.
And that's just the beautiful thing that if we get access to. Someone asked in the chat, how much time should I spend outside
Yeah.
grounding? I would recommend you work up to 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Either break it up, do it in the morning or do it in the evening. Create a routine for yourself. Your body will begin to crave it. Like my 87-year-old neighbor, if he can do it, you can do it. It's literally like the one most ritualistic thing about his life, and he like treats himself to go outside. So with oils, I'm just using my Amazon Escape Rainforest Blend. I think of like when I need to ground myself when I don't have time to go outside, using the fir type essential oils. And those are, for me, it's Shinrin-yoku, cypress,
Yeah.
cedarwood, my favorites. Now doTERRA came out with the new Escape line, which is the Amazon. This one's the Amazon Escape is my favorite. Because I don't know what it has in there, actually. I don't know the ingredients, but the point is that these ones are going to be firs. Think about a tree. I'm a little disappointed that John left the chat because he's like the tree guy. The way that a tree grows, it grows, there's the trunk and then it grows outwards. It sweeps outwards. think about the effect it has on your body when you apply it, it literally is doing this. But not only that, it's going to go down into the ground the same amount down as it is going to be going up. And so that is literally the grounding effect that essential oils can have on your body. They're not only just going to be like, oh, I breathed it in, it smells so good. It is going to reduce cortisol. It's going to balance your emotions. It's going to center your thoughts. It's going to calm your heart rate. It has an incredible effect on the skin. The skin responds to the fur type essential oils really, really well. But the reason it does that is because when you go out in nature, nature affects you in a really good way. It reduces inflammation. It evens your skin tone. It's going to like essential oils are bringing you a direct reflection of an essence of what you could experience, like a little pocket experience in a really concentrated way of what you can experience when you go out. And that's why I think we love vacations so much when we go out in nature, we go camping.
Yeah.
It's an isolated experience of what you can have in a bottle all the time, right? Or an isolated experience of what you would like to experience in your life all the time. And so
Yeah.
finding little ways where you can put that into your routine, like for myself, putting oils on my feet every night. For me, I have a blend of furs and like for my family, like I grew up in the Northwest, like being outside in nature with lots of big trees that like feel like they're gonna swallow you alive, like that was normal for me. Being out here in Texas, like everything's really little. And so getting my fur oils, that are like Douglas fir, Siberian fir, Northern Escape, those ones, or black spruce.
Yeah.
Those ones, they have an effect like no other one does, and they regulate the nervous system really, really well. And so I'll either diffuse it or put it on my feet at night, and that's a great way. Your feet are the greatest absorbers of your body. They have the largest pores, and all of the reflexology of your body is there. A lot of your nerve endings are going to be on your feet. You're going to apply it with your hands. Your hands are going to absorb it and you're going to breathe it in. So both of those are going to work synergistically to work on every single organ of your body. So just by massaging your feet with a fur or whatever other essential oil you choose, they do all come from nature. So it's all fair game.
Yeah.
Whatever one that you do choose to apply, it's like you're giving every organ in your body a massage with literally just taking care of your feet. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna run out of time in 5 minutes. So
I'll say something real quick on that. Real quick, and then I want to look at some of those questions y'all asked, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, real quick, I'll try and shoot it up. But I love what you said there. But a reason why you're probably wondering the bottom of your feet, it's because the bottom of your feet have the biggest pores in your whole body, and so that's going to come up through your bloodstream, through your body. It's going to come up, and so every night I do the same thing with essential oils. I rub Shinrin Yoku. It's a Japanese forest bathing blend. I don't have it with me right. It's downstairs, but it's Shinrin Yoku, and I rub it on my feet, and it comes up to my body. And Shinrin Yoku, I don't think there's any like public studies done yet, but I know that there were some private studies done talking about how if you diffuse this oil at nighttime with a diffuser and rub it on your feet, it's known to lower cortisol levels, which is what we're trying to do at nighttime, right? We're trying to lower it naturally, right? By watching the sunset, by getting grounded during the day, by getting the right sun exposure. And so anything you can do to help that, that's natural, I'm all game for it. And I know that when I rub Shinrin Yoku and Serenity on my feet at night, I sleep great, lowers my cortisol even more. I feel so serene and balanced. It's so good. Love balance oil. I love balance too.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
balance is huge.
yeah.
I diffuse balance a lot. Okay, and then I think that was one more thing. I was out at a little camping trip at my grandpa's cabin last week, or all of this past week, or was it last week? Yes, it was last week. And so I was out, and there's no service out there, so I wasn't on my phone. I was fully present and running around, chopping wood, making fires, swimming in the river, running around barefoot. And it was one of the most peaceful weeks I've had in like years. It was so good. And I wasn't on my phone. I was just barefoot. I was in sun every morning. It was so good. And so I think we can all relate when we're in nature and doing things like that. We always feel so good. And so there's something about being in nature, and I always hear it, for people that don't believe it or don't think it's real, go out and walk barefoot and be in the sun and tell me how you feel, because I guarantee it, you'll feel better than you did before. And it's actually more than just a feeling, because it's going through your body and it's doing good for your body, reducing inflammation, stress. I mean, the list goes on. And I think that's kind of majority. We'll wrap up real quick so we don't lose time.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to hit?
Questions y'all have or any comments? Like, give me like a 2-second little review of what you do to practice grounding or being in nature, any of the things regulating your circadian rhythm, using essential oils in your routine to every day. What are your guys' practices and habits?
I do a very similar routine with you guys with a lot of the wood oils, a lot of tree oils, like cypress and cedar wood.
Yeah.
I feel like I picture my feet kind of sinking into the ground and being like a root system, and my body's just kind of free flowing, but my feet and my legs are very strong and connected with the earth. And that's a nice visual for me before I go to bed, to know that I'm connecting, right, with myself, with the earth. So I do a very similar routine to you guys.
Love it. Love
I
it.
love that you visualize. Like, that's so cool. Like, that adds another element. We didn't talk about meditation, but I think
Oh,
that's
we didn't.
absent.
Next time, that'd be a good call on itself. I think we could cover a whole
Yeah.
chunk of time.
We should do that maybe next week. Also, real quick,
Yeah.
guys, before the call ends, I do want to say we do this call every week on Mondays. This time is probably the time we're going to keep. If there's a better time you like, you can let us know, but it's probably going to be this time every week, and we're going to cover different topics. And I think that was it. I just want to make sure we do like a nice conclusion. But thank y'all for coming. We'll finish off with questions and things if we have time. But thank y'all seriously for listening. And how much time do we have left?
Less than a minute.
Seconds.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Thank
we'll
you
be back
guys.
next week.
This is a great call. Thanks for inviting
Thank you.
us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Jorge. We'll see y'all next week, hopefully. Anna, what's up? I love it. Oh, I love it. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all learned something.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you guys. Looking forward
Bye,
to next.
y'all. Take care.
All right.